reading from the Gospel of Mark. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered around him, and he was by the sea. Then one of the leaders of the synagogue, named Jairus, came, and when he saw him, he fell at his feet and begged him repeatedly, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be made well and live." So he went with him. And a large crowd followed him and pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians and spent all that she had, and she was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. For she said, "If I but touch his cloak, I will be made well." Immediately her hemorrhage stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately, aware that power had gone forth from him, Jesus turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in on you. How can you say, 'Who touched me?'" He looked all around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." While he was still speaking, some people came from the leader's house to say, "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further?" But overhearing what they said, Jesus said to the leader of the synagogue, "Do not fear, only believe." He allowed no one to follow him except for Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the house of the leader of the synagogue, he saw a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. When he entered, he said to them, "Why do you make a commotion and weep? The child is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. Then he put them all outside and took the child's father and mother and those who were with him and went in to where the child was. He took her by the hand and said, "Talitha, cum," which means, "Little girl, get up." And immediately the girl got up and began to walk about. She was 12 years of age. At this, they were overcome with amazement. He strictly ordered them that no one should know this and told them to give her something to eat. While my husband and I were at seminary, every year there was a competition among all the different classes called Menstrual Madness. Every March, each class would compete to see who could gather and donate the most menstrual products. This was a competition, and there was a lot of great rivalry among it. But at the heart of it, it actually was pointing out a very significant issue, an issue that is called period poverty. A lot of women throughout the United States, roughly 25%, do not have access to the type of products they need to be healthy and to manage their menstruation. Throughout the world, it's even higher. Over 75% of women don't have access to the things that they need. And these kind of products are considered a luxury. They're a luxury in prisons, they're a luxury in day-to-day life. They're heavily taxed. Period poverty is a very real thing. And when they dig into this, they find that this process of menstruation for so many girls and women is directly related to mental health issues, to broader health issues, to social issues. And it was no different during Jesus's time, and perhaps even worse. The social isolation of this woman who was healed from her hemorrhages was powerful. The simple fact that this woman was in a crowd when she had been bleeding for this long shows is a testament to her faith and to her determination. She would have been ostracized from her community because she was considered unclean. This is no different today. There are women and girls across our nation, our city, and our world who struggle to have the basic needs that they need to keep themselves healthy. And we know that it's more than just period poverty. It's poverty throughout all the world. The world has everything it needs to sustain itself. And it is through our own greed and sin that we prevent people from having what they need. So on this day, I challenge us as a community to find a way to give to those around us. Volunteer with our outreach ministries, make a donation. There are many places throughout the city that take donations of menstruation products. These things are really simple ways to validate someone's humanity, to allow them to feel like they are dignified, that they are worthy, that they are the beloved child of God that they truly have been created to be. Amen.